Hello, my name is Braden Collins, and today we will be talking about transactional leadership. When I was first doing my research, a quote that I found for the definition of transactional leadership was: transactional leaders improve performance by establishing clear expectations, monitoring compliance, and rewarding adherence to the predefined standards. This ensures stability and efficiency in routine tasks. And this sounded really rigid to me and very structured, so I distilled it down to a definition that makes more sense to me. So, my definition of transactional leadership is the setting of goals, the tracking of the progress in those goals, and once we're done, rewarding ourselves based on if we hit it, or finding out a program that will make us hit it the next time, or a punishment. So let's talk about some of the pros and cons that goes into being a transactional leader. For the first pro, transactional leaders can contribute to efficiency and operational discipline. This may support managerial stability and short-term performance. I believe with this leadership style, workers are motivated by very clear goals and leadership ladders, which makes day-to-day operations go very, very smoothly. In the 40s, a German sociologist named Max Weber essentially coined the theory of transactional leadership, and he argues that a reward-based structure is required for people to attain any motivation to work at all. Many people have since studied that it is okay, no. In the 40s, a German sociologist named Max Weber essentially coined the theory of transactional leadership, and he argued that people need reward systems enabled to get any motivation at all. It has certainly been studied in the human condition that without consequences, there is no reason to do anything. So, in his mind, humans may psychologically need a reward system enabled to. And the final pro comes with the coupling of a hands-off passive management style. It makes the rewards something only given for additional achievement and not simply accomplishing daily tasks. This approach also gives more leeway for shortcomings in the day-to-day operations, giving workers a chance to reconcile small mistakes without risking a punishment from somebody being on their back. So now let's talk about some of the cons of transactional leadership. In a 2023 article, John Garger pointed out that in students, it is very easy to find loopholes in order to obtain the rewards or to not get the punishments of not doing the work. If there's a very clear criteria of what gets a reward and what doesn't, you will start to see people who are artificially checking the boxes in order to get recognized or get more rewards. Another con is the rigid structure that transactional leadership presents. This could be a pro and a con. Definitely a pro in organizations like the military and in sports, but the way that I see it, this promotion of a rigid power structure diminishes the cohesion of the members. Instead of being one big team working towards a common goal, each person or worker does their work only for the reward or the approval of their supervisor. This is not good because it does not make people want to collaborate with others. It doesn't make them want to be in good favor with their team. And similarly to the passive management style, which was a pro, using an active management style with transactional leadership is very inefficient. If each task required an additional approval or reward and punishment, the leader will be so tied up they have no time to actually lead and manage big picture aspects. It creates a lot of red tape whenever a leader is breathing over the workers' shoulders and approving each little thing that they do. Let's look at some other characteristics that I believe a transactional leader should have. One is being a role model. Workers should strive to gain rewards from the manager by emulating what they do in the workplace. a 2002 study that I found quoted that rewards are a considerable reinforcement for an employee in order to share and copy the manager's approach and attitude in the workplace. I believe that these rewards help the employees in adapting the mindset of the company rather than just having to justify their duties with personal investment. And what I mean by that is people are doing what their manager is doing, which means they will be rewarded, instead of having to find their own unique way of satisfying the company. It gives them a very clear example to follow. Another characteristic that transactional leaders should have is being door openers. They should foster an environment where the go-getters are achieved and those that slack get left behind. Unlike transformational leadership, where every day there is empowerment and encouragement and supervision given, transactional leaders should give their workers space to go above and beyond and reach for higher plateaus. Transactional leaders should also be authentic. These leaders should seek to create and maintain a positive status quo and working environment. This should happen through encouraging the workers to grow and to learn and to always be taking risks and experimenting with new things. Let's finally look at some examples of real-life transactional leaders. Our first is General Norman Schwarzkopf, the four-star general and commander-in-chief of the U.S. Army in Operation Desert Storm. Something about the military that makes it very transactional is the adherence to a very rigid power structure. You must be completely obedient to the person above you, and that person is completely obedient to the person above them, and is a very, very well-defined power structure. Norman Schwarzkopf was able to use this power structure in order to have a disciplined and cohesive military, which went on to be very successful in the Middle East. Our second example is a sports coach of the Green Bay Packers, Vince Lombardi, probably the greatest football coach to ever do it. His interesting aspect of his leadership was his ability to inspire so many different parts of his machine to want to win, to want to be disciplined, and taking that motivation and forming a plan to win, which he was able to do 5 times with the Green Bay Packers, which is absolutely unheard of and awesome. Another part of this NFL team was the strict adherence to his power structure. Everybody was completely obedient to Lombardi and his idea, and they knew that if they were going to be rewarded with wins and hopefully a Super Bowl. And finally, for my final example, I wanted to look at entire organization structures such as sales companies. Sales companies are the perfect example of transactional systems because you are given a quota, you're given your expectation, and if you exactly meet it, essentially no attention is going to be given to you. If you go above and beyond and exceed your quota, you will be given a reward, probably more money in the case of sales. And if you don't, you are given some kind of punishment to make sure that you do hit your quota the next month. So for that example, I used the Wolf of Wall Street, probably the most famous example of a sales type organization in our modern culture. So thank you so much. This has been Transactional Leaders. I hope you all were able to learn something, and I can't wait to see the other presentations. Thank you.